This is the East Idaho Prepcast on IdahoSports.com.
That's right. Welcome in another edition of the East Idaho Prepcast on IdahoSports.com, talking District 5 and 6 activities week in, week out in the state of Idaho. My name is Brandon Baney, and this guy is Sean Kane, our East Idaho expert. What's up, Sean?
Hey, just fresh off the tennis courts as always. We've had some nice weather, so it's been great. Getting a lot of competition in here late. So, we were just talking about that. It's kind of crazy to think next week is districts.
Yeah.
And as we'll see, some have already started, but for most sports, a lot of it's going to start next week, and it comes up fast in the spring. It's kind of like, are we playing? Oh, it's districts.
Yeah,
oh, it's state. Oh, join schools together. Oh, take some finals. Oh, have a good summer.
Yes, because Century and Highland, of course, are both using Century school building after Highland had a fire break out in their school. And we talked about that on last week's edition of the Prepcast, which you can go back and listen to a number of different ways. You can watch this podcast every week on the IdahoSports.com YouTube channel. And if you're watching there, hit the subscribe button. It's that little bell icon. And that basically will allow you to be notified anytime we upload a new podcast. I know a lot of people are interested, not just in what's going on in East Idaho, but what's going on statewide. We have podcasts all over the state covering all the regions, and they're all on our YouTube channel. You can also listen to this podcast at IdahoSports.com or wherever you download your podcasts, Google, Spotify, Stitcher, Apple, etc. So I don't know what's going on with my camera. I have all the lights on here in my office, and it's still kind of like dark. It's like dark and gray, but I assure you I'm not sitting in the dark. So
I also like I don't know, you can sign up for the newsletter from Idaho Sports, so you get an email that lists all the new content. I think that's a kind of a secret great thing on IdahoSports.com is to get that newsletter, because then it just emails you. It lists all the stories and kind of a quick hit thing. That's key. That's money. That's how I appear to be the expert sometimes.
Yeah. Little secret of the pros there. Our newsletter. Yes, we just sent one out today with all of the great baseball, softball, track and field stuff we've got going on. Let's start the conversation with track and field tonight, and then we'll get into the district brackets for softball and baseball. A lot of big track and field stories. Tiger Grizz was last week, Sean. This is kind of the big event in East Idaho every year. All the major 5A and 4A squads are there, and there were some headline performances.
Yeah, you have teams obviously from all over East Idaho. You had Logan was there. And you have Owyhee was there from the Boise area, Marsh Valley, just teams from all over. And there were some big time performances. And the one that stuck out to me was Matea Magnum. She won the 100 meter, the 200 meter, and the high jump, and was the MVP for the women's track events. And yeah, and as far as I know, and I can't 100% say this, but kind of in that 100 meter race, kind of her arch nemesis has been another phenomenal Southeast Idaho runner, Claire Peterson of Skyline, and Matea beat her for the first time that I'm aware of up at Tiger Grizz. So congratulations to her and winning 3 events and getting that MVP award, and just a number of great racers. I mean, just think of this 100 meters final. It's number 1 Magnum, number 2 Claire Peterson, and number 3, oh yeah, remember Abby Hancock from Rigby? She likes to win events too. So I mean, that race alone was the price of admission. I think when I look at that, it was just some heavy hitters in that race.
Yeah, Marlo Herford wrote a nice recap of that in the Post Register, the Idaho Falls newspaper up there. And you want to know why she's the best track and field rider in the state? It's because of articles like this. The way she wrote it, is from the perspective of Claire Peterson. And the article starts about, in the 200, Claire Peterson crosses the finish line and falls to the ground. She was so out of breath. And you're like, wow, this must have been a big win. And it's like, no. She actually took second to Matea Mangum, which puts it into context, right? If Claire Peterson, the premier sprinter, or one of the premier sprinters, was that spent and didn't win, then it must have been a really gold standard performance from Matea Mangum of Century. So
yeah, just just outstanding, and I'm sure we'll see those two later on battling up at the state competition, and that will just be a phenomenal race there.
Yep, for sure. Well, speaking of 4A track and field news this week at Blackfoot High School, very exciting college signing. Whitney Christiansen, great distance runner for the Blackfoot girls, signed to compete in cross country and track and field at Utah Tech, which is a Division I school, formerly Dixie State, but it's down there in St. George, Utah. Not a bad place to go run.
You've got some nice weather, some nice
Everything.
hiking, and
yeah,
you're a little low altitude there, maybe a little better breath in there, but that's very nice. And congratulations there. And you kind of see Utah Tech signing a lot of East Idaho and across Idaho players. They must have a good recruiting, because you've seen volleyball players, you've seen obviously some runners, so they're doing a good job recruiting up here in the north.
Yes, to the north of where Utah is. And I remember one of their first big signings in football, this was a couple years ago now, was Ty Hyde from Preston, who of course was their quarterback and defensive end, and a great basketball player as well, 6'5", just menace. And they were still D2 at the time and working on their transition up to D1, but he's now a key piece of that defensive line at Utah Tech. And so, yes, they've always come in and pilfered East Idaho athletes very well from Idaho State. Just looking at you, Bengals there. A lot of people come into the Bengals backyard and get some premier talent for sure. Whitney Christiansen, the latest there at Utah Tech. Third track story we wanted to hit on. Carter Huntsman of Ryrie has been having a really nice season in the pole vault, and last week he set a new school record by clearing 10 feet even. Always great when a school record falls. Yeah,
Carter Hartman he tied for second in pole vault at the Tiger Grizz. So, he got 14. It was a personal record at the Tiger Grizz. So he's doing some work. He was up against, and we've talked about him before, he tied with Brody Beck of Aberdeen. We all know he can jump on and off the field, and the winner of that pole vault was Gunnar Kimball from Wood River. But yeah, Carter Huntsman has been doing a phenomenal job this year.
Yeah, you're right, and I misspoke. 14 feet was the new school record, not 10. He clearly went way above that. Yeah, 14 feet for Carter Huntsman there of Ryrie. He has been the top pole vaulter in 2A for a couple of weeks. Friendly reminder, we're recording this podcast on Wednesday night, May 3rd. I almost said April. So you'll probably be listening to this on Thursday the 4th. Thursday, we will publish our latest Tracking the Field, state track and field projections. Every Thursday morning, I get up and I look at the leaderboards and I score how the state track meet would go based upon the leaderboards, 5A all the way to 1A, boys and girls. It has been really popular. A lot of page views, a lot of eyeballs checking that every week. And so we'll bring it to you. It's usually in the afternoon because it takes me a while to compile everything. But be on the lookout for that on the homepage at IdahoSports.com.
And it seems like we're always bringing her up, but also, Ruby Jordan of Highland won the shot put again. No surprise there. And she's going to be a menace up there at state, and just that top with that top competition. She won the disc as well. So she won both those throwing events at Tiger Grizz, and she's just, I don't know, she's lost this year.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Maybe she lost. I think she lost at the direct com invite in the discus to the Bora girl, Maddie Romberg, but it wasn't by much. And those two are going to be the two main, duking it out in the shot and the disc at the 5A state meet for sure. So again, Tracking the Field, our state track and field projections on the homepage at IdahoSports.com. We update that every Thursday. Also on the homepage at IdahoSports.com, Sean, are our district brackets for baseball and softball. We have every district tournament bracket. Some tournaments started already on Monday this week. Some won't start until Monday of next week, and some don't even start until next Tuesday or Wednesday even. It's a wide range of possibilities. And you and I were kind of talking about this off air, and I said, boy, why do they feel the need to go so early? And then there's this big long period between districts and state. For example, the Mountain Rivers Conference, Sugar Salem, Teton, South Fremont, it's a 3-team district. Their champions are going to be decided by Friday pretty much. And then that gives them a lot of time off. But like you pointed out, and I wouldn't have even thought about this because I'm not a teacher and you are, there's academic reasons they want to front load the district schedule.
Well, yeah, this has been a huge complaint of mine for years is there's AP testing, and it's nationally, and it's the same time every year. So it started Monday and it'll go next week too. So those 2 weeks in May are always AP testing, and that kind of interferes with some of the tournaments, or doesn't interfere depending on when you do it. It's just kind of for tennis, we try to get it done during the week, and I think most of the districts do that. But if you want to do it during the week, you're going to run into those AP testing, and it just depends. Sometimes you have a lot of people, sometimes you don't. And of course we're not going to take away from someone trying to, get some academic excellence, so they have to go around those schedules and things. But just, I've had players, it took a 3-hour, lit comm AP test and then come and try to play tennis. And it's hard. It's a hard thing. And so I've always wondered why we haven't pushed it back, because we'll be done with districts on the 10th. And then we don't go to Boise and play until the 19th. And, and it's like a dead week, right? Like the 15th through the 19th of May, that week before state competition, is dead week. Or even stagger the events too. Having all the events happen on the same weekend has caused a lot of issues too. So I don't know. I don't have the answers to that. It's just kind of always been kind of a difficult thing, because there's a lot of athletes that do multiple sports in the spring, run track or baseball or softball or tennis and track. And those competitions usually happen at the same time. So then it becomes kind of you got to pick your battles, so to speak. But yeah, AP testing interferes with the district tournaments, and the district and the state knows these dates are there because they've had these same dates for, I don't know, however long they've been doing the AP testing. And
right.
They kind of say, work it out.
Oh well.
Yeah. Oh well. And it's like, and school comes first, and that's the kind of program I run is, obviously school comes first, and that's the most important thing. And you're kind of saying, oh well, but only when it doesn't interfere with what we want to do.
Yeah, you said AP tests get in the way of district tournaments. I would say district tournaments get in the way of the AP tests.
Yeah, well,
yeah, for sure. That's what you meant to say. So yeah, it's kind of an interesting exercise, and I would have never have even thought about that. So I'm glad you brought that up. Hey, real quick too, tennis last week, the Capital Classic. You went over and competed with your Century team. We had Hillcrest over there. Skyline went.
Thunder Ridge,
Idaho
Falls.
Did Bonneville go over there too?
Bonneville went over there. Yep,
yeah.
Bonneville.
Then there ended up being 32 teams at this bad boy, and no surprise, Boise High won the boys and girls titles. But
I might have said that.
Yes. But what did you think of how East Idaho did going over there and competing?
I think East Idaho did phenomenal. It's hard to go up there against some of those powerhouse teams, and you look at the total scores of when you combine boys and girls together, because that's kind of how that tournament's always been. Madison took 5th overall. So Madison took 5th, Thunder Ridge took 2nd. Two really, really strong teams. Madison is always very strong. But they're still like 100 points away from Boise. So some good players. You had Brickley Olson of Hillcrest made it a couple rounds in the championship bracket. You had an Idaho Falls girls doubles team that did very well. You had a lot of East Idaho is very competitive. What we lack is like the depth. We're going to have 1 or 2 people that are good. Pretty much all the third boys singles is always pretty much won by a Boise, right? Like they have some kid who's just so much far and away better than what we can provide there. But everyone did really well. I was impressed. I think Madison, came away with a 5th place, and if they can, take that into their district and get a lot of people to the state, they're going to be really competitive. Their boys doubles was very good. The one kind of thing, Highland High School wasn't there, and they've got a few boys on their team that are pretty phenomenal, so that will play an important role in that district tournament too. But it was great. The weather was great. Everyone was happy. Saturday I was at well, I wasn't there the whole time, but basically I was at Bora High School from like 9 a.m. till 8 p.m. because my second boy singles made it to the constellation final, and then his last match, he played 4 matches Saturday, and his last match was 3 hours long. He ended up losing Ethan Myler in a tie break, but that kid earned my respect, and he played a kid from Bonneville, and both those kids just battled for hours all day, and they both earned my respect and big time for that. So yeah, it's a thing of attrition. If you can win 4 full matches when it's 80 degrees outside, add 20 degrees for being on court, and it's hard, and we're not used to it.
Yeah.
East Idaho is not used to it, but yeah, it was great. It's a premier, it's the best tennis event in probably the Northwest I can think of, and they do a good job running it. And I was glad to get back up there and see everyone. And I guess I just had to get the takeaway that just like the vibe of sports is overwhelming, like coming back better. Like people are like, yeah, we want to go watch sports and be part of it. And I really like that, and just it's a good atmosphere in Boise for the most part. And I got to go to Trader Joe's, so
yeah, no trip to Boise for Sean is complete without a trip to Trader Joe's. So like you said, you'll get 3 things at Trader Joe's, and 2 will be really good and one's going to be garbage, but you have to figure it out. There's a lot of trial and error.
Yeah, I got like these cookie sandwich things that taste like a dry biscuit. I don't know. The packaging was very intriguing, and it's like $3, and it wasn't great, but the staples were good. But they do good job packaging. And then they had these like mini chocolate chip cookies that I got for my kids, and I've almost eaten them all myself. So hopefully they don't watch this.
Yeah, I gotta find a pen here. The packaging was intriguing. That's our podcast title. That's a good one. Okay, one more feel-good story, and then we'll dive into these district baseball and softball brackets. I got an email about a Blackfoot softball player that's a pretty cool story that I wanted to share. So there's a girl that plays for Blackfoot named JiJi Wieland. She had basically her playing time is somewhat sporadic. It sounds like she's a key like pinch hitter off the bench is kind of the vibe I got. But earlier this week against Shelley, Tuesday night, Blackfoot is playing Shelley in a big regular season conference battle. Bottom of the 7th, which is the last inning. They're down 2. The bases are loaded with 2 out, and Wieland is called upon to pinch hit off the bench. And so she works the count full. It's a 3-2 count. And then she begins fouling off pitches, fouling off one after another. This turns into like a 7, 8, 9 pitch at bat. And finally, Wieland gets one that she likes, sends it over the left field fence for a walk-off grand slam.
Grand slam. Okay. Wow.
Yes. And so Blackfoot gets the walk-off win thanks to JiJi Wieland coming in to pinch hit. Now, she had not played in a game for Blackfoot since the previous Friday against Century. And what did she do in that non-conference game in her previous at-bat? Hit a home run out to left field. So she's turning into a very lethal power bat off the bench here for Blackfoot.
What a great tool to have in the bag to pull out in those times. And well, I mean, that's some swag, right? Some confidence. Like, just go, we're down. Let's put her in. Let's pinch hit her, home run. That's awesome.
Yeah. Pretty epic story. You don't get a walk-off grand slam all the time. And so JiJi Wieland and the Blackfoot Bronco girls continuing to have a pretty good regular season. They are 13-7 overall, 7-3 in the High Country Conference, and we will get to that bracket in just a moment. But let's start with softball district bracket, Sean. And what we'll do is I'm going to share my screen. So those of you that are watching the video version of this on the IdahoSports.com YouTube channel, you'll be able to see the brackets up on your screen. I would recommend you make your screen full size so it's a little easier to read. If you are listening to the audio version of this podcast, it's all good. We've got all the district brackets on the homepage, IdahoSports.com. You can follow along there. We had a house showing tonight, and so my wife and I snuck out and got ice cream, and so it's yeah. Anyways, I
got a blizzard in Boise because we don't have Dairy Queen here, so that was
no DQ here in Pocatello. So, and I didn't get a chance to cleanse the palate before we hopped on. So, anyways, I'm sure that's going to be really enjoyable for people to listen to. All right. Anyways, here we go. This is the 5A High Country Conference softball bracket. You can see nothing has been seeded yet because there was still regular season competition happening tonight as we are recording this. Thunder Ridge is leading at 9-3 in the conference. Rigby is 7-4. Highland is 7-5. Madison is 0-11. And so everybody gets 12 conference games, I'm pretty sure. So I think Thunder Ridge with a win tonight wrapped up the number 1 seed, but between Thunder, Rigby, and Highland, that's 3 really good teams that'll be competing for 1.5 spots to state.
Yeah, I mean, Highland was playing today. I didn't quite see who they were playing today, so I don't know if it was a conference or not.
Yeah, they played Thunder Ridge in a doubleheader, and they split. They lost 2-1, and they then won the second game 6-2. So that was a big split for Highland.
Yeah, I mean, it's just gonna, Highland, Rigby, and Thunder Ridge it's just been a battle all year, and man, I kind of lean towards Thunder Ridge because I feel like their pitching's been really strong all year, but I wouldn't be surprised if the seeds don't matter a whole lot when it's all said and done with this bracket.
Yeah, and it gets started next Tuesday, May 9th. The high seed will host everything, so Thunder Ridge is going to host a game, and either Highland or Rigby will host the other. Basically, Highland and Rigby are going to play each other right away, so we will keep an eye on that. Let's go to the 4A High Country Conference. We just alluded to it. Blackfoot. I mean, these standings could not be tighter when you look at the High Country Conference standings. Hillcrest is still leading at 8-2 in the conference, but Blackfoot and Idaho Falls are tied for second at 7-3. They're just a game back of the Knights. Shelley is 4-6, and then Bonneville and Skyline are each 2-8. So the question is, can anybody catch Hillcrest? What do the Knights have left? They have nothing. They finished up their regular season tonight with an 11-4 win over Skyline. And so that gives them the regular season conference title. Now the question is, how does second place get figured out between Blackfoot and Idaho Falls? During the regular season, Idaho Falls won by scores of 11-10 and 4-3. So I guess that settles it. Idaho Falls would be your 2 seed. Blackfoot would be the 3. And this is important because the top 2 seeds get first round buys.
Yeah. And, you kind of felt this all season long that there was no clear front runner, and any of those teams could really kind of make a difference. And I feel like early in the year, there's kind of a lot of talk about Idaho Falls, and Hillcrest has kind of snuck in at the top and hasn't got as much recognition as they might have needed it, I think. But I think it's going to be close. And I don't think Shelley's bad either. I think their record is a little lower, but when you play these games, man, I feel like when you get into a bracket sort of play with softball, your pitching just becomes so important.
Yeah, and these teams all kind of went in a circle where Blackfoot beat Hillcrest twice this year, and Hillcrest beat Idaho Falls twice, but Idaho Falls beat Blackfoot twice. So they all beat each other, which is interesting. And the overall records are strikingly similar as well. Hillcrest is 13-6, Blackfoot is 13-7, Idaho Falls is 13-7. So either way, those 3, and maybe Shelley can get on a dark horse run here, but those 3 really are going to be fighting for 2 spots to state. This is going to be a fantastic battle to watch unfold.
Yeah, I agree. I think you wrapped it up pretty perfectly. You got 3 close teams. It's going to be, Again, with this tournament, it's like the seeds, you might throw the seeds out the door when it comes down to the last few games.
Yeah, it'll be interesting for sure. The other district in Class 4A is District 5, where Pocatello is the only undefeated team remaining in 4A softball, and one of the few unbeaten teams in the entire state for softball as well. So Pocatello gets the 1 seed in the bye. Century got the 2 seed. They will host Preston, the 3 seed, at OK Ward Park on Tuesday, May 9th. And you might be wondering, well, why is it there? Because the winner of that game will then have to turn around and immediately play Pocatello, the number 1 seed. And that's where the Pokey Thunder play their games at, is OK Ward Park. So this is all next Tuesday, Preston against Century. And then the winner will play Pocatello right away afterwards. But this is, 1 spot to stay. I would be very surprised if it was not Pocatello here.
No, yeah. And I don't know if we mentioned it last week. Pocatello beat Highland for the first time in 10 years. So
yeah,
Pocatello is on a tear. Mia Lusk pitching. It would be hard to bet against that team right now.
Yeah, McKinley Hill, senior catcher, made our heavy hitters list this week. Every week we do the top 9 hitters in softball, single game performances from the previous week. You can find that every Monday on IdahoSports.com, our heavy hitters. And McKinley Hill was one of them this week for the Thunder. Let's go to the 3A ranks, to a tournament that already started. The Mountain Rivers Conference. This is District 6 in Class 3A, and this is where the best of 3 series come in. This is a 3-team district, and so South Fremont won the regular season conference title. They got the bye, and then it was the 2-seed Sugar Salem hosting the 3-seed Teton. They played 2 games Monday, and then the, if necessary, game 3 would be Tuesday. Well, wouldn't you know it, they split. Sugar won the first game 14-3. Teton came back and won the second game later Monday 19-7, setting up the winner-take-all game in Teton, in Driggs Tuesday night, and Teton won that one 13-5. So the 3-seed Teton now will play top-seeded South Fremont in a best-of-3 series that starts on Friday.
And we were talking about this earlier. I really like the series aspect at some of the tournaments too. I think that's really fun. And I do like South Fremont, but Teton all year and every sport has just been dangerous. Like, that's not the team you want to have to go to that necessary 3rd game against, right? Sugar didn't want to, and that's kind of how I see it. I feel like South Fremont's the best team here, but man, if it goes to game 3, you don't want to be playing Teton.
No, they're a dangerous team. They're always lurking, it seems like, for sure. It's also a 3-team district in the Southeast Idaho Conference, District 5. They do things a little differently, where they'll do more of the traditional double elimination bracket. Here's what we can tell you. Marsh Valley is the 1 seed. Who's 2, who's 3? I don't know. It doesn't really matter because all the games are at Marsh Valley anyways. It's kind of like that. It's kind of like that Pocatello Preston Century, where Snake River and American Falls will play each other on Saturday. And then the winner of that will have to play Marsh Valley immediately afterwards. Basically, these 2 teams, Snake River and American Falls, ended up tied in the conference this year. They both went 1-3. They both beat each other, and then they both lost to Marsh Valley twice. And then I actually looked at this conference's bylaws and how these tiebreakers would get settled. And the tiebreaker then is common opponents, and it has to be basically the same number of games against this common opponent. The only common opponent they had was South Fremont, believe it or not. Now, they had a lot of same teams on the schedule, but because the weather wiped out so many games this year, South Fremont was like one of the only teams that they both played. They lost. Snake River lost twice to South Fremont. American Falls lost once, I think. And so that is kind of a wash. And then after that, it comes down to the old coin flip.
Oh boy.
So
ping pong balls.
Really what this is going to decide is who gets to be the home team in this first game and who gets to bat second, essentially. But either way, Marsh Valley to me is the team to beat in this district as well.
Yeah, I would agree. Kind of interesting coming down to they don't have a Kansas City playoff in softball, huh?
You're right.
But maybe like a home run derby. That'd be kind of fun.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Who could jack the most out or something. But yeah, I think definitely you got Marsh Valley as kind of the team to beat here. And Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Yeah. Anyways, I just thought it was interesting as I was looking at the bylaws of how this would be decided. That's why we haven't put them in yet. Really, what's going to happen is I think I'm just going to peek on Saturday and see who the home team is. And that team must have won the coin toss. So, anyways, let's go to the 2A ranks. This is the Nuclear Conference. This district tournament starts on Friday. West Jefferson and North Fremont, your top 2 seeds. West J1, North Fremont 2. They get first round byes. All of these games are at West Jefferson High School as well. So it's going to be one site for everything. So this starts early, Sean. Friday at 11 a.m. First pitch. Salmon, the 4 seed, will play Chalice, Mackey, and Butte County, their team MVP. Miners, Vikings, Pirates. And then Firth, the 3 seed, will play Ryrie, the 6 seed. To me, West J, I think you can pretty much, and I've accidentally put them one spot too far.
Oh, wow. They already won.
Yeah, they shouldn't be there yet.
Well, we know who you like.
Yeah, right. Oh, here comes my West J bias. I do like West J. To get back to state, though, there are 1.5 bids to state here. So the district champion gets to go. Second place will have to play second place from District 5. But I think whoever that is, whether that's North Fremont, whether that's Firth, I do kind of like the Nuclear Conference team a little bit more over District 5. But we'll see.
Yeah, I would agree. And just as a side note, I love early starts. I wish we'd kind of get more into the early start. I mean, you end up missing about the same amount of school, but I mean, like, that game, whoever West Jefferson plays starts at 3. Those kids are going to be done and home at a reasonable time instead of like 9 o'clock at night. But that's just a side note. I just wish we'd go to earlier start times with weather and different things for most sports, but that's just me.
Yeah, so the schedule on Friday is 11 a.m., 1 p.m., 3 p.m., and then the last game is 5 p.m. North Fremont against whoever wins between Firth and Ryrie. Ryrie did have to forfeit a couple of games recently, so I'm hoping the Bulldogs can get it together and compete here at districts, but we'll keep an eye on that. And then 2A District 5, the Southeast Idaho Conference. This is a 4-team affair. Again, we can't officially seed anything yet because there were still conference games taking place tonight and even into the end of the week. Malad is 5-0 in the district. I think at this point now, I don't know that anyone can catch them. But then you've got Bear Lake at 2-2. West Side is 2-3. Soda Springs 0-4. So really it's going to come down to Bear Lake, West Side, who gets to be that 2 seed. And in the past, West Side has kind of been the second team along with Malad. Of course, Malad, kind of a softball powerhouse recently. But I don't know. Bear Lake has been playing well this year. And if you look at how the Bears have done specifically against West Side, they beat West Side earlier this year 10-3, and then they will play the Pirates on Friday in the regular season finale. That will probably determine the 2 and the 3 seed.
Yeah, both teams battle, and yeah, I like Malad. I've kind of been big on Malad. They just didn't have the games to start the year. They just kind of, I think they've been quietly in the back of people's minds because they didn't get to play a ton of games to start with. But I think they're not only got a good chance to win this district, but compete well at the state level too.
Yeah, we will. Yes, it's been a very slow start for Malad this year, but that is certainly not their fault. And we talked about Pocatello being one of the few unbeaten teams left in the state for softball. Malad is the other. They're 15-0. Still haven't lost yet at this point. And I think that might be it in terms of undefeated softball teams. I don't want to overstep here, but I'm pretty sure that's the case. I think it's Pocatello and Malad, and that's it. And that's kind of cool for East Idaho and for District 5.
Yeah.
Specifically. That's kind of a cool deal. So we'll see if they can bring it home. Okay, let's shift baseball now. And again, we'll start at the 5A level High Country Conference. First round games were actually earlier this evening, Sean. Highland, the 1 seed, defeated Madison, the 4 seed, 8-5. And then Thunder Ridge, the 2 seed, defeated Rigby, the 3 seed, 11-3. So it was all chalk. Highland now will host Thunder Ridge Friday at Hallowell Park. Rigby will host Madison as well. This one's kind of tricky. I think any of the top 3 are all capable. I think Highland is kind of been the gold standard for baseball in this district for a long time, and they went 9-3 in the league this year, 15-9 overall. But Thunder was right behind them at 8-4 in conference.
Yeah, both teams are pretty good, and then also I wouldn't count Rigby out. I could see them coming back and coming back through the loser side of this too. But yeah, Highlands had a good year, and yeah, I like Highlands' chances maybe to finish this out, but again, pretty close. And you can even see Highland Madison 8-5. It always makes me wonder in these districts when it's a bracket, who did they have pitch in this first game,
right?
In hoping to get through, and maybe Thunder Ridge burned their ace in the hole, to get past Rigby. It's always kind of interesting to see what happens in those kind of mid games of the brackets.
Yeah, because there's no rest, right? They played today. They will play tomorrow. They played Wednesday, May 3rd. They'll play Thursday, May 4th. So there's not any rest here for any of these teams. So we'll keep an eye on that. 4A District 6, the High Country Conference. Here's one, Sean, that's all series, which is kind of cool. 2 teams get to go to state from this district. We already had an upset. This happened yesterday. So how about this? Bonneville was the 1 seed. Blackfoot was the 2 seed. They both got byes into the semifinals. Idaho Falls and Skyline. Skyline was the 3 seed. Idaho Falls was the 4 seed. They both played their home games at Melaleuca Field, home of the Idaho Falls Chuckers minor league baseball team. And it's a beautiful stadium, and it's really cool that they get to play there. So we had a quadruple header at Melaleuca Field yesterday. Idaho Falls was up first. They played Hillcrest at 11 a.m. and 1 p.m., and then Skyline played Shelley in their best of 3 series at 4:30 and 6:30 p.m. Skyline had no problems. They won 9-3, 21-11. But Hillcrest, the 5 seed, goes in and upsets Idaho Falls, the 4 seed, by 2 pretty lopsided scores. I mean, 10-7 is close in the first game, but 22-10 in the second game. And it's Hillcrest, the 5 seed, moving on.
Yeah, I was looking at this earlier, and I was kind of surprised because prior to doing this podcast, I was kind of thinking in the back of my head that Idaho Falls is going to be a dark horse. And then when I pulled this up, they lost. So I was, and they're a powerhouse. Idaho Falls has done a really good job. And so, good job to Hillcrest to kind of come up with that upset. Cause I kind of felt Idaho Falls would find a way to kind of get in there, but Bonneville's always really strong, and Blackfoot has been really strong too. So, I love that they do the series again. I think that's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, everybody plays 3 times in the regular season, and Idaho Falls took 2 of 3 from Hillcrest in the regular season. So this is why, we were kind of taken aback for a moment. So now you got Bonneville, the 1 seed, playing Hillcrest, the 5 seed, in a best of 5 series that'll start on Friday, hosted at Bonneville. And then you've got Skyline and Blackfoot. And this is an interesting one, Sean, because you will remember last year, Skyline and Blackfoot played in this same exact round, the semifinal round, and Skyline actually won the series. But then it was determined they had used a player that was over his pitch count, right? Skyline had unknowingly violated the pitch count rules. Blackfoot had reported it. And so then Blackfoot was awarded the series victory. And so it was Blackfoot that got to advance to the championship series. So there's a lot of intrigue around this rematch between Skyline and Blackfoot.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting. I remember last year, and you just, I'm sure you probably won't have anything as interesting this year. But again, the cool thing is if whoever, the 2 teams that get out of the semifinals both make it to state, no matter what happens in that championship game. So. It's going to be a really, I think, you're going to see the battle here in the semifinals.
Yeah, that's going to be the battle to watch, Skyline and Blackfoot there. And that starts Friday as well at Blackfoot. Okay, 4A District 5, Pocatello gets the 1 seed. Preston gets the 2. Century gets the 3. And this one's a little different. It's not like softball where you're going to have to turn around and play the winner again right away. Century will travel to Preston on Friday at 4:00. And the winner of that will then play Pocatello on Saturday at Hallowell Park in Pocatello. I like the Thunder here. It's just Preston and Century are both very young, both working in a lot of new players.
Yeah, I like the Thunder. They've got the pitching, they've got the bats. as far as 4A teams go, I think is in the state, the Thunder are like one of the most complete teams when you just kind of look at that roster. And I think they're going to be able to get out of the district pretty well. And I'm excited to see what they can do at the state tournament.
Yeah, that's going to be really exciting to see Pocatello compete there for sure. Okay, 3A, District 6, Mountain Rivers Conference. They do series in here as well instead of a double elimination bracket. And then Sugar Salem got the number 1 seed in the first round bye. South Fremont was 2, Teton was 3. And so South Fremont played Teton in a best-of-3 game series on Monday, and Teton came out and won the first game 8-5, and that kind of jolted South Fremont awake. The Cougars, with their season on the line, won the second game Monday 10-0, and then the winner-take-all game 3 Tuesday night in Driggs. South Fremont went on the road and won that as well 9-3. So it's the two rivals, South Fremont, Sugar Salem, best-of-3 series. That starts on Friday, and there is 1.5 bids to state from this district. The winner of this district tournament advances to state. Second place will have to win 2 play-in games to get to state. They'll have to play second place from District 5. If they win that, then they will play third place from District 3 as well. So tough path for the second place team.
Yeah, it blows my mind that those are even in there. They had those in basketball, and yeah. Could you imagine if a Boise team had to play
right
2 extra games? I'm just throwing it out there, but yeah, I like Sugar Salem. They've been a great team all year. I think they've got a lot of kind of veteran, but they've also got a lot of kind of young. I think they've got a good mix, and I kind of like them coming out of this district.
Yeah, Sugar swept South Fremont in the regular season 10-5, 14-4, 7-1. Diggers have a very good team and still a very young team as well. They're leaning on a lot of sophomores and juniors on that Sugar Salem team. So we'll see if Coach Brady Gardner and the Diggers can get it done. District 5, Marsh Valley is the 1 seed. American Falls is the 2 seed. Snake River is the 3 seed. And this one is like softball, Sean, where Snake River and American Falls will play on Saturday in Marsh Valley. Winner of that will take on the Eagles right away.
Yeah, and of course I've been kind of big on Marsh Valley a year. I think they're one of the teams just to beat, period, and I think they'll get out of it. And it brings up a good point, because sometimes they do that in volleyball too, where the 1 seed gets a bye, but then they have to play right after. And it's kind of a mixed bag, right? Some coaches like having the bye. Some are like, no, we want to play and be ready to go, because we've had volleyball tournaments where the 1 seed didn't get the bye and like the other seed did. So the 1 seed got to play first. And so it's kind of interesting just to kind of see where that goes. And just all the baseball and softball brackets are so different. Like most sports, it's pretty similar. You get pretty much the same bracket, but these are all different. So it'd be kind of interesting just to kind of poll and see what people think. That they want to play the game right after, or I'd be kind of interested for me to see, because we kind of have something in tennis right now where there's no third set. We're playing a tiebreaker instead of a third set, and they did coaches polls, and it was kind of one of those things. Most people are kind of okay with it, but not really.
Right. So
yeah, it'd be kind of interesting to see.
Yeah, I think in baseball there's an advantage to having the bye, right? It's one less pitcher you have to use.
Yeah.
In softball, where most teams just have 1 pitcher and she can throw 400 million innings and it doesn't seem to matter. I think there is an argument to be made that playing right away gives your team a little momentum, which could help you then spring the upset over the team that had the bye. So 2 different styles in baseball and softball, I think. But in baseball, I think most coaches would tell you the less pitchers I have to throw, the better. So
yeah, that's true. I agree with you there.
Yeah. So Marsh Valley, of course, the defending 3A state champions, and we like them to advance from District 5 here. Okay, 2A, and then we'll close it out. Nuclear Conference. Here we go. Only 4 teams compete here. West J didn't have enough guys for a team this year, and Ryrie doesn't have baseball either. And so Firth is the 1 seed, North Fremont the 2, the Chalice Mackey River Cats are the 3 seed. Salmon is the 4 seed. I should mention as well, back to the 3A real quick, Snake River did get to state last year. They joined Marsh Valley as the second representative from District 5. It'll be tough for the Panthers to get back this year for all the reasons we said about the multiple play-in games and things like that. But Snake River did get to state last year. Last year it was Firth and Chalice Mackey representing the Nuclear Conference at state. Firth got all the way to the championship game, the 2A state championship game. I really like Firth this year. North Fremont and Chalice Mackey, I think you could flip a coin. But again, the winner gets to go to state automatically. Second place will have to play second place from District 5 in a state play-in game to get to state.
Yeah, I like Firth as well. You know, I like Chalice Mackey maybe to come out as the second team when it's all said and done. I'm going to throw that out there.
Okay. They played North Fremont twice this year. And two very close games. The Huskies won both by a run each time, 10-9 and 4-3. And that's why I said, you know, pretty much flip a coin with those two, I think. So
they're going to play a couple times in this bracket anyways, then is what you're saying.
Right. Yeah, for sure. That all gets started on Friday at Salmon. Salmon is hosting. For a long time, Salmon had one of the only playable fields in East Idaho when all that snow had dumped down and stuff. And so everybody was calling up Salmon like, hey, can we come up and play? And Salmon was like, sure. And so like baseball and softball, Salmon was hosting like 3 or 4 games a day for the Nuclear Conference because none of the other fields were playable. So it was kind of funny. So Salmon is hosting the district tournament there. And finally, 2A District 5. Can't really seed anything yet because there's still regular season action taking place all the way up until Friday. It's only a 3-team district. West Side does not have baseball. Any players that want to play at West Side go to Preston, and they just play on the Preston team. But in the 2A ranks, Malad is 4-0 in the conference. Bear Lake is 1-2. Soda Springs is 0-3. So you can kind of see how it might go, but we got to wait officially for these conference games to all wrap up. Basically, Bear Lake will play Soda Springs on Friday, and that is going to determine second and third place. So I guess Malad has wrapped up the number 1 overall seed by going 4-0. They beat Bear Lake tonight 11-1 in their conference finale.
Yep. So Malad won then. Is that
yes.
what you're saying? Yeah, Malad. Yeah, and I think I liked Malad at the start of the season there. So I would look to see Malad kind of take this district when it's all said and done.
Yeah, and again, second place from this district, whether that's Bear Lake or Soda Springs, will play second place from the Nuclear Conference. I like whether that's North Fremont or Chalice Mackey. I like the District 6 team to get that second spot to state. So
yeah, agreed.
Yeah, that's what's going on with the district bracket action, Sean. It is time. It's time for the postseason. I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm excited yet, but
you'll be excited when tennis districts.
Yeah, well, that's next week. So, but yeah, we're just finishing up the season, and it's spring sports is like it's like the 100-meter race. Like it's just exciting at the end for whatever you're doing. There's kind of like a lot of stuff, but at the end, it's super exciting, and that's what we're almost at here is the end. So I'm ready. I'm ready to cross that finish line.
Yeah, mad dash to the finish line, no doubt about it. And so we will be back again next week to update you on all the district tournament brackets. It'll go a little quicker because we'll have actual results to talk about and not hypothetically this could happen or this could happen. And so the brackets go a little quicker. Next week we'll have some actual results to talk about. And of course, we'll keep bringing you the biggest spring sports stories of the season right here on the East Idaho Prepcast. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. For Sean Kane, I'm Brandon Baney, and we'll see you next time on IdahoSports.com.